Okay, so hi guys, I'm just gonna get rid of this. And hopefully this works. There we go. Okay, so this is an FMV game. I've just installed it. I haven't played it before, and we're going to take a look. So let's go over to the game. You have a game in progress, do I? Oh, yeah, I tried it. I pressed new game before, but actually, yeah.
Hi, Yuli. Sorry for my late reply. I've been busy working on the release of my book lately. It's not so easy to manage things from so far away.
Oh, sorry.
And there's my only little brother. Come over here, please. I've got to look after him while Dad and Mum are in Svalbard.
Hello, my name is Bellage.
Jonathan Hunt, hi. But there's no need to look after him that much. I thought he's one of the researchers.
You're wasting your time. My sister still thinks I'm a toddler.
Because you often act like one. Oh, that's how we are. Make yourself at home.
Okay, so...
An environment analyst office. Not bad. A bit dull, perhaps.
yes. When a faint white icon appears somewhere on the screen, it indicates an interactive spot. The type of the icon tells you what action you can take. Move the cursor over the icon appearing by Vera. This is a text bubble. Just like in comic books, indicates you can talk to her. Click on the bubble.
Vero has a vibrant personality. And let's admit, she's really charming.
Dialogues can be skipped by clicking X to close the window. This is, however, not recommended because you may miss important clues and information. This is the screen of a dialogue with Vera. You can choose a topic from the options displayed in the dark bar below the picture. Now choose Parents.
Did you say your parents are on Svalbard?
Yes, this time for 3 months. They study the atmosphere.
The hell?
A wealth of information there.
I can
Just
imagine.
pictures.
Indeed. Climate change is something everyone wants to know about. It would be foolish for a scientist to resist such a rewarding challenge.
You mean our mom and dad?
Learned
Oh,
scientists,
my God.
like our father and mother.
It's a bit confusing, really. I don't like that. Okay. You may decide to go on with another topic, but if you hover the cursor around the screen, you'll notice that 2 new icons have just appeared. Maybe there's something worth checking. Click on the magnifying glass icon on the map. Indicates you can look at this object more closely.
Svalbard.
Okay.
Such an ice school adventure is not for me.
This is the close-up of the map. Close-ups allow you to obtain detailed information about certain elements of the game space. Click X to exit the close-up. In some cases, you can also take actions in close-up. For example, you may start a conversation. Click on the magnifying glass icon in the photos on the wall. In some cases, further close-ups may become accessible from a close-up, or something else. You can see a speech bubble here. Click on the appearing speech bubble.
Are these your parents?
Yes, they used to send us postcards, but today it's enough to shoot a photo and I can pin it on the wall in a minute.
I don't like this
Fantastic,
at all.
isn't it?
It is indeed.
Why couldn't they
Shame
just
Granny couldn't
have
see
a
these
video
photos
of
from
them
the poles.
talking? You can return to the abandoned dialogue topics anytime. Click on Vera and choose coffee this time.
You've promised some coffee on the phone.
Oh, yes, there it is. Please help yourself. Would you give me some too?
Sure, thanks. How about you, Bellage?
He doesn't want any.
I see.
The conversation activated the coffee set on the desk. Click on the coffee set to enter the close-up.
Any sugar?
Oh, yes, 4 will do, thanks.
4.
A close-up sometimes opens up a puzzle or task to be solved. This time your task is to prepare the coffee for Vera the way she likes it. First, click on the coffee maker to take it. A hand icon on the object means you can take it. A gear icon means you can operate the object. In some cases, you might need another object for this. Magnifying glass indicates you can inspect something, not always in close-up. Okay. The coffee maker is now in your inventory. This is a temporary collection of objects. You can use them when needed. Click on the coffee maker in the inventory. Grab and drag it to the coffee cup on the top left corner over the gear icon. To access the inventory, move the cursor to the top of the screen, move the cursor to the bottom of the screen. Moving the cursor to the bottom of the screen will open up a panel with the menu, the help functions and subtitles. Take the spoon, you'll use it to put the sugar in the cup. Take the cap off the sugar pot to access the sugar. Grab the spoon in the inventory and use it on the sugar pot. The spoonful of sugar is now in the inventory. Use this on the coffee cup. Repeat 4 times because Vera wants her coffee with 4 sugars. When ready, take the cup of coffee. Oh, you were joking me. Really? 4 times? What the hell? I don't even know if I'm doing this right. Sometimes you'll notice a gear on the character too. This means you can hand something over or show something to that person. Now give Vera her cup of coffee with sugar in it. Coffee cup icon.
Here you are.
Thanks.
Wait a minute. Why am I making her coffee? Should be the other way around. Continuing the conversation with Vera during the dialogue, some other objects may become available for use. Take the order form and the pen when they become accessible.
Do you like working here? When we last met in Eger, this job at Atomki was only a plan.
Yes. Everything has changed since. But I'm fine. Everything...
What do you mean by everything? How about Mark?
Ended. A long-distance relationship is not worth a piece of curd.
Piece of curd?
Oh, that oaf dared to contradict you just once, and that was it for him.
Bellage!
That's the truth. Mark wasn't willing to leave everything behind for you, and you got offended.
Be hid.
Stop it! You don't know what you're talking about.
How strange. We love each other so much with Pommy, despite the 1,000-mile distance.
But you guys, please.
Guys, I've got to say that it's very disorientating. You know, that they're using stills for the conversations, and they're not even in line with each other. They're like, the camera's moved around. It's just really, it disorientates you.
What about the water sample?
My colleague will handle it in a minute. I've already told him.
So we wait?
Yes. Is this water from your lot?
No, but I'd like to buy it. Only the owner has jacked up the price, saying there's mineral water there. Now, I don't care about the water at all, but need to know the truth to bargain.
Okay, we'll know that soon. I almost forgot. Could you please sign this order form? You know, the paperwork must be done. There's a pen on the desk.
Certain objects in the inventory may be combined. This will open up new options. A sound effect indicates if a combination is correct. Grab the pen and drag it onto the icon of the order form in the inventory. The new combined version is the signed order form. Give it to Vera. This will open up a new dialogue topic. Right-click the objects in the inventory to enlarge them. These larger images will provide more information or let you read documents, open boxes, and so on.
Done. You've got a lot of paperwork here in Hungary, but the contracts are half as long as in the USA.
Really? Oh, by the way, how's Yuli doing in the USA?
Not too bad, I think.
You think? You don't mean you guys too? But why?
Because a long-distance relationship is not worth a piece of curd.
I see.
Okay, so I've just pressed spacebar and it highlights certain hotspots.
Who's she?
My girlfriend, Pony.
Nice girl.
She is, and I miss her a great deal. She lives in Germany.
And why don't you go after her?
Don't you give him ideas. He'll go to university this fall. They're thrilled to admit him. There's no alternative for a girl boy with such a brilliant brain.
Look, he's a grown-up man and has his own will.
Grown up? You're kidding. He's as sharp as a razor, but if I don't put the food in front of him, he'd simply starve to death.
Could anyone ever just ask me what I wanted to do? Or if I'm hungry at all? And yes, I will definitely go after Pony.
Oh, come on. Even your passport's expired, and if I don't arrange it, you'll never be able to have it done. You shall stay, and that's it. It's better not to enrage Dad. Am I right, Jonathan?
Well, I wouldn't comment on this right now.
Okay, guys, so what do you think of the acting? Good or bad? In some cases, dialogues are in the form of cutscene movies. You may skip cutscenes too by left click. This is, however, not recommended because you may miss important clues and information. Click on Vera and talk about Atomki.
Tell me, is this really your dream job?
Absolutely. Otomki offers so many opportunities. And Peter, I mean Mr. Lehotsky, the director, he does everything to maintain the high reputation of the Institute. Nice chap. You'll meet him. That's why I don't see why Bellage keeps whining. A summer like this would be the best practice for him.
Pestering me again? Can you get off me now? Especially in front of the guest.
Where are you going?
Let him go.
The cafe's open.
Who cares?
Why couldn't the conversations be like that? Just don't get it. Three days later.
Morning sunshine in a hotel. Just like being on vacation.
Just imagine filming this guy just standing there for ages.
My notebook. I don't go an inch without it. I've jotted down a few things about Debrecen while strolling aimlessly on the streets. There are a few shopping receipts here, too. Oh, I had more coffee yesterday than on a hard working day. Somehow I didn't enjoy solitude this time.
Okay, so it has diary. I see that they're using Windows 7.
Come on, I'm not going out in this negligee.
Okay, let's go to the wardrobe.
Aha, the phone. It's time to switch it on. I expect Vero's call any minute about the water analysis. If all goes well, I'll be back in Eger to have lunch in Hotel Senator.
I still don't know the aim of this game. Let's go in here. As or dog Kovo. Forgive my pronunciation. Probably wrong. This game is set in Hungary, so therefore it's quite unique.
Hi. Is it about time?
Not at all. I've been expecting your call. What time should I come to see you?
Jonathan, can you come right now?
Well, yes, of course, but why is it so urgent? Is everything all right?
Something terrible happened. Bellage has disappeared.
Disappeared? What do you mean?
He's gone. God knows where. He left a farewell letter.
I see. Did he say where he was going?
No. That letter makes me so worried. It looks as if... How could he do such a thing?
Look, I've told you this before. Legally, he's an adult, and he's free to go against your will. I'm sure he'll turn up soon.
No, he won't. This letter suggests he's been obsessed with something he may have discovered.
Why? What does he write?
Would you please read it for yourself? You're the investigator.
An investigator? Only if it's about history.
You're the only one who can help me find my brother. The police won't do anything.
Have you spoken to them?
Yes, they won't start a search within 24 hours. And all they could do is kindly advise him to go home. It's ridiculous.
That's what I'm saying. He's an adult.
Okay, if you don't want to help me, and let that foolhardy brother of mine get involved in some foul play which might even cost his life, just say so. But if you feel just a little empathy...
Okay, don't exaggerate. I'm on my way. You'll tell me everything, all right?
Okay, hurry. I'm waiting for you.
See you soon.
See you.
Well, it seems I'm not going to lunch in Hotel Senator today.
Okay, so look.
Like a bad dream. Maybe I should have brought the biscuits after all. Hi. Any news?
News? None. No sign of Bellage. But I don't expect any. Here's the letter. Read it for yourself.
Right. I think Vero has a good reason to be worried, after all. We'd better find that boy before his parents return. I wonder if this girl knows something about Bellage. It would be a good idea to check where Bellage has been browsing recently, but Vero said Bellage was in the habit of deleting his browsing history. Especially now, I suppose. Well, this is self-explanatory.
What's self-explanatory?
That this was going to happen one day. Maybe he went after his girlfriend, to Germany.
I've thought of that too. But why today?
I know what upsets you. This sentence. I have discovered something, and if my suspicion is correct, you will be proud of me one day.
Yes.
This suggests that it wasn't only love that motivated him.
I've spoken to the girl. She doesn't know anything.
Or she won't tell you. Tell me about this Pani.
She's all right. I should have nothing against her. Only
you're upset with her because she's out to get him, to influence him.
Maybe. But I don't think she was lying when she said she hadn't heard from him since yesterday. She said she'd call me immediately if he turns up.
Any idea what Bellage discovered?
No. But it's true that he was busy with something in the past weeks or so. Never looked bored. No endless Skype chats like before. And he was reading a lot, went to the library often, and searched the net all day.
What topics did he search? Atomiki physics, perhaps?
No idea, I'm afraid. Unless... I happened to see an old book he took from the library. It was titled Hungarian Mineralogy, or the Science of Minerals and Ores. A really old one, from 1791.
Strange. I wonder where he's got it from.
Sometimes he borrowed books from our scientists, but he often went to some library too.
Rather odd, by all means. What did Bellage take with him?
That's just it. Hardly anything. Only his small backpack is missing.
What about his passport?
It was in the backpack, so he took it. But as I said, it's expired.
Yes, and you also said he'd been incapable of having it extended. Okay, go on.
Then I don't find some books he's recently acquired. And his cell phone's gone too. And it's switched off, of course. I've tried to call him at least 50 times since this morning.
Any money?
He's got a bank card. Dad transfers money to him now and then. I don't know how much was on it, because I've been paying everything since he's been here with me.
Quite a handsome amount of money could be on that card, then. When did you last see your brother? Yesterday evening?
Yes, of course. He came home late, but we didn't talk much. And he wasn't there when I got up at 6:30 in the morning. Only that letter was on his bed.
Where was he Sunday evening?
Well, who knows? He said he was going to meet a teacher in the... Yes, in the Reformed College.
On Sunday? Oh, well, why not?
He'd been out in the morning, too, but didn't say where. And on Saturday we were at that party together. You remember I've told you about it?
No.
Ha, the party you didn't want me to come with you. Don't you think you should tell me more about it now?
It's not so simple. But nothing to do with Bellage.
You tell me as much as you wish.
Okay. For me and my brother, this party was an obligation. Mr. Lehosky, the director, was invited, and he'd been coaxing me to go with him. First, I refused, as I had no intention to appear there as a mistress of the elderly director. But he asked me so kindly, so I said okay, if Bellage could come too.
I guess Bellage was not fond of the idea.
He wasn't. Actually, that's why he was in such a bad mood when you arrived on Friday.
I see. So eventually he went too.
Yes, but he behaved awfully. Stood aside all along, and then tried to annoy me, saying he was drunk. Felt like slapping him around. Meanwhile, Peter took me arm in arm and introduced me to people as the pride of our institute.
I assume you didn't stay long.
But we did. It was more relaxed towards the end. Even Bellage had a talk with the host and his doctor. And there was a middle-aged woman whom he had a few words with. And I also had the chance to chat with some people.
Where was the party held?
At the mansion of a stuck-up guy called Egon Palos. It's not far from Atomiki. You should have seen that luxury.
Oh, really? Okay.
What do you know about Palos?
Never met him before. A stout businessman smelling horribly of perfume. He's grown so fat because of selenium deficiency, so they say. Imagine, he announced at the party that this was his last birthday as he was going to die soon. It was a bizarre performance.
It must have been. And what does he do?
I'm not sure. He used to live in China for a long time, made his money there. Then he moved back when his disease was discovered because he trusted European medicine better.
But the therapy doesn't seem to help, does it?
For some time now, he's turned to alternative medicine. His physician,
Whoa,
some
what disease are we talking
Droshkovich
about?
or something, stays there with him and gives him treatment every day. Could be just rumour, of course.
I don't know. It presupposes that I know a lot of information, but I don't. And the guy, the main protagonist, seems to know information that we don't know. So it's a bit confusing.
How are you getting along with the director of Otomki?
With Peter? Well, I really don't know.
Complicated?
Oh, no. There's nothing between us. He's over 60.
This doesn't mean a thing. Apparently, he's fond of you.
Yes, I do feel it. But I just look up to him, that's all.
And encourage him.
I don't mean to. He's like an uncle who takes care of me, and this is how I behave.
Yes, and not as a physicist of the Institute. Did Bellage get along well with your colleagues?
Certainly. Everyone liked him, although he'd been hanging around them a lot. Sometimes they call him Brainiac Boy, as Bellage likes to be clever without being asked. But everyone knows he's got superb brains. He loves exploring and discovering things.
It might be the case now.
Maybe I don't know him well enough, though. You should ask those people he knew well in the Institute. They might know something.
Good idea. But it won't be so easy.
It will be. I'm afraid I don't have the time to show you around, but I've already sent out a circular mail to let them know about your visit. They're ready to assist.
A remarkable providence. But where do I...
Here, this is a map of the Institute with laboratories. And if you get stuck, I'm always here to help.
Well, all right.
She seems like a flirt.
Excuse me for being a bit down to earth, but is there any news about the water sample?
Oops, I almost forgot about it. The quick test didn't lead to a clear result, so they're trying another method now. It'll be ready today, so they promised.
Thank you. And don't worry, your brother will be found. This is what I can promise.
Yeah, probably dead. Okay, let's get out of here. Oh, good lord. Where do I start? Okay, so we've explored the office of Vera Gal. Good lord. Okay, let's go to the material science lab. Because apparently he met up with some of the scientists.
Without these gloomy-looking machines, I'd feel like I was in a preschool.
Okay. The guy's just standing there, staring.
A smiling face. He doesn't look devilish at all. Good morning. My name is Jonathan Hunt.
Hey, Jonathan, nice to meet you. Gula Varesh. Saw you on television.
Did you?
So glad you came here. I mean, not really glad, as it's so sad Bellage has run away. How reckless!
Can I ask you some questions?
Well, of course, my friend, go ahead.
When did you last see Bellage?
Wow, I feel being part of a crime movie. Well, I think it was Thursday or Friday. End of last week. No, it wasn't the weekend, as I'm with my family then. I've got 3 sons, my friend, and a daughter.
That's nice. So on Thursday or Friday, where and when?
I ran into him in the afternoon. I think he was coming from the cafeteria. And yes, that charming sister of his was with him. They weren't in a good mood, though.
What is he like, this Bellage?
Haven't you met? Handsome guy, intelligent face, kind of dark hair, and...
We did. I want to know what you think about him.
He's a nice guy. Open-minded, friendly, polite, doesn't really understand jokes, though. You know, we joke a great deal with my kids, and...
Yes. Have you noticed any change in his behavior lately?
Whose behavior? Bellage. Maybe he came here less frequently. Carrying a book all the time. He was learning, maybe. Don't you think so?
What do you think about Vero?
Oh, you've got to be kidding. I have a wife and children.
That's not what I mean. What's your opinion about her as a person?
A frightfully agile, vigorous girl. Or from a professional point of view, you mean? Well, everyone has to be highly skilled to get a job in this institute.
I see. How does she get along with others?
I believe everyone likes her. She's a bit too quick and straightforward, but I don't mind. I can only say positive things, like the way she takes care of her younger brother. She'll make a good mother, at least if she learns a bit more about self-sacrifice.
Could you tell me something about this lab?
Oh, sure thing. I've already explained it to my boys, and they understand everything. They were so cute listening to my story.
And the lab?
Oh, of course. Now, this is the Materials Science Laboratory. With all this gleaming equipment, we can identify the chemical composition of an object in a non-destructive way, or we can define what layers these chemical elements form in a sample, even if the layers are measured on a nanometer scale. However, for this, we have to destruct the sample a bit.
You mean you could tell how many and what kind of paint layers are there on a Da Vinci painting?
I'm afraid not, as my instrument works with small-size samples only.
Which means you'd need to damage the painting? Otherwise, you could investigate the composition, but not the layers. Is that right?
Exactly!
You have a cozy workplace.
Oh, yes, thank you. Our director, Mr. Lahotsky, has been very liberal about this. For me, my family means everything. I gain energy from these things to focus on my work.
Do you have a hobby or a passion?
Passion? My family is my passion. With 4 children, you have little chance to have hobbies. You'll see it for yourself. Hurry up, my friend. Having children is the best thing in the world.
I will. Certainly.
Looks like some infernal machine. Where am I? Is this a data center or a recording studio?
His voice reminds me of another person. Max Payne, maybe.
Is he a scientist too? I wonder.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Hunt.
Hello. So you're the guy who's after Brainiac Boy, aren't you? I'm Changor Fekete.
Doctor, I assume.
Nope. I'm only a petty system administrator. Or, if you like, the doctor of the doctor's computer up there. What can I do for you?
Oh. Why can't it stay in the bloody thing? It's like when I choose the options here, it exits.
You could tell me when you last saw Bellage, what he was doing, these kinds of things.
Snooping, that's what he was doing, I tell you. He knew everyone, talked to everyone, stuck his nose in everything. If you ask me, he'd been up to something.
Up to something?
In the last 2 weeks, he'd been in a hustle. We never had any trouble with each other, though, just some of us found this a bit strange.
Nobody has complained about him so far.
Sure. Any talking about him could easily get to the ears of the director. That's because of Vera. You know, there's been some rumor recently. Otherwise, she's a hot babe, but I don't have a thing about those who make a pass at the boss, if you know what I mean. I don't mind telling you if you want the truth.
I have first-hand information that the supposed liaison between the director and the girl is unfounded.
Well, don't bet on that.
What an amazing place.
This is my cave with the supercomputer. Not super-sized, but super fast. It's because many desktop computers are connected in a smart way. They generate a lot of heat. We need strong cooling. I enjoy this low temperature. Of course, the fans are loud, but I use my headsets.
And you just oversee things here?
Yeah, it's not too stressful unless we hit a snag. But that seldom happens, so it's rather a kind of vacation.
Rather a kind of making music, isn't it?
Spot on. This is why I like Lehetsky. I only asked once, and he'd let me bring in my music stuff. I've written some 50 songs here.
50 songs? That's enough for 2 albums.
You must be joking. Who buys CDs today? Chongor, the system administrator, earns the money. The musician can only spend it.
Is this thing a nuclear instrument too?
What does that say? Quark something. Looks like some sort of synthesizer.
Is this a Gibson? I'm not an expert.
Okay, that's everything from this room. So, we've explored the office of Vera, the materials science lab, and also the supercomputer. So let's go clockwise. Let's go to Radiocarbon lab.
What a contrast. A state-of-the-art research station in a palm house? Poor souls. I wonder how much they understand of what's going on around them.
I mean, there's 2 actors. They look so uncomfortable just standing there.
Does the lady
Quite
belong
funny.
to the equipment or to the jungle?
Good morning, madam. My name is Jonathan Hunt. I think Vero has...
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Hunt. Dr. Zoldmally. Emma to my parrots only.
I'd like to ask a few questions about Bellage.
Yes, I've heard. I must admit I don't understand the situation, but I'm glad to help if I can.
Madam, when did you last see Bellage?
Let me think. Last week, maybe on Wednesday, he helped me relocate the pandanus. It's hazardous.
Ah, is it a corrosive compound?
No, it's the screw palm. The leaves can cut your hand.
What do you think of Bellage?
He's very young, tends to overdo things, but he absorbs information like a sea sponge.
Did you see a lot of him?
I think he didn't like me at first, or my parrots, but he was excited about age determination, so we became friends soon.
So he was eager about the past.
Especially about radiocarbon dating, which we do here. Nature tells us about the past, or even about artifacts of unknown origin.
Well, I'm personally interested in this too.
As you should be. I know you wrote a book on antique trade. I'm going to read it.
Oh, that's kind. What do you think of Vero?
Vera? She's a typical woman of our age. I wouldn't recommend her to you as a wife.
Well, it hasn't come to my mind.
Very well. In brief, as a person, she apparently performs better than as a professional. But she hasn't been here for long, so there's not much I can help you with.
On the contrary, you've helped a lot. Given my original profession, I have some understanding about radiocarbon dating, but I'd be grateful if you could explain how it works exactly.
I'll try to keep it simple. In nature, carbon mostly exists as carbon-12, but there's also carbon-14, a carbon isotope which is constantly created in the upper stratosphere as a result of cosmic rays. It builds in living organisms, like plants and animals. But carbon-14 atoms are radioactive, and as such, they decay over time. Their half-life is about 6,000 years. This means the quantity of these atoms falls by half in every 6,000 years. When a living being dies, it stops acquiring carbon-14. But the decay continues, and the proportion of carbon-14 decreases. If we measure this proportion accurately in case of an archaeological find, we can tell its age.
And are there no limits? Can you determine the age of any object?
Not quite. We can go back up to about 40,000 years. Our results are most accurate when the object is a few thousand years old. And don't forget, we are talking about things that once used to be living organisms.
I see. So, no dinosaurs. They lived millions of years ago.
Correct. Your knowledge is still a bit superficial, Mr. Hunt. But you're improving.
This lab is so pleasant. Are all these plants and animals part of your research?
My plants and animals keep me alive in this well-equipped, state-of-the-art lab. My motto is back to nature.
Are you a naturist?
By no means. No need to go back to the tree to make your environment more livable. I no longer dive, but still love hiking and sailing with friends.
Okay, and that seems like everything in this particular area. So, Radiocarbon Lab, let's go over to Microprobe.
Extraordinary place, like in a Cold War spy movie. Even a pocket calculator is anachronistic in this environment. I'd readily believe this picture is transmitted from Mir, the Russian space station. I would expect to hear the news from August 1965. A vacuum system. To me, it might as well be the control panel of a classification yard. A frail figure and a nice face. She's far from the physicist stereotype.
Good morning, madam. My name is Hunt.
Jonathan Hunt? My name is Dr. Tomoro Shafran, but please, call me Tomoro. Just not Tommy, okay?
With pleasure.
I knew you were coming here. Saw you arriving. Vero has good taste.
What? Oh no, I just came about a water sample.
I know. And now it's about Bellage. Please, feel free to ask me anything.
I'd like to know when you last met Vero's brother.
On Sunday.
Yesterday? Where?
We didn't actually meet. I just saw him downtown. I guess he didn't notice me.
When was
Why is
this?
she speaking
Late
so funny?
afternoon. But he didn't disappear yesterday, did he?
No, not yesterday.
He didn't just disappear yesterday, did he?
What do you think of Bellage?
Well, I think he's not the type who just runs off suddenly. It must be some joke, I guess. Vero gets you to do the job, then he'll turn up and laugh at the hassle.
I admit it has occurred to me too.
Well, Bellage is a bit strange. Yet, I tend to say I like him. Better than most of the guys of his age.
Did you see him often?
Not really. Sometimes he comes to ask questions.
What kind of questions? About the Vander or Vander?
The Van de Graaff accelerator? No. He usually asks me about language problems.
Asks you about language problems?
Because I speak many languages. That is, I can understand many languages, but hardly speak any of them.
Wow, that's interesting. How come you know so many languages?
When I was a child, my only entertainment was reading books and learning. I was fascinated by the variety of languages. I wanted to understand all the books my parents had. Even today, this is a passion of mine.
What a story. And how many languages are you familiar with?
Well, I can read and write in about 15 to 20 languages. Many of the Western languages, and some dead languages too, like Latin or ancient Greek. Then some Hindi, Mandarin, Hebrew, Arabic, Swahili, Japanese, and Korean. But I learned them merely from books.
Amazing.
Currently, I'm trying to improve my Russian, which I didn't learn in school, unlike many people here.
Incredible. You must be a living dictionary. What do you think about Vero?
She's cool. Men notice her. And she's smart. Born in a family where life is about natural science.
Do you two speak often?
Yes, every day. We usually have coffee together, gossip a bit, but nothing too serious, of course.
I can imagine. I know nothing about the place you call the microprobe. What do you do here?
In fact, we work with two instruments connected to each other. What you can see here is the Van de Graaff particle accelerator, which speeds up particles, such as protons. Then these particle beams are directed onto the target we want to examine. The particles in the beam and those of the target collide, and some of them scatter. We can detect these particles and capture data, which helps determine the composition of the target object.
And the other one?
The second instrument is the microprobe. It can focus the proton beam to a tiny area. This allows us to examine the composition of the target object on micrometer scale.
This means if you put an object in there, you can scan it, just like an X-ray.
Not exactly. It only lets you capture information about the surface, or just below the surface. But it is a perfect method for studying the composition of archaeological findings, for example.
Okay, quite interesting.
This control room is rather a strange place.
You mean not as frilly as the other labs? I think it suits my personality.
It does, doesn't it?
Oh, you think this craziness is all about decoration? It isn't, I tell you. Come back if you feel bored, or if you need a translator.
Thank you. I will.
Okay, so that's this room explored. So we have 4 areas left. The cyclotron, radiochemistry lab, plasma lab, and Turtle's Pond. Actually, it was the Turtle's Pond where we last saw the Bellage. If you remember, he was with an old man. Okay.
Morning. Are you the American?
You mean me? I'm Jonathan Hunt.
Joseph Vince. I'm the caretaker. And the night guard. In shifts, you know.
Glad to meet you. Mr. Vince, have you seen Bellage lately? You know, the younger brother of Vero who moved in here for a few weeks?
I have. I've seen him often here and there, but not today.
Understandable. He's disappeared.
What the hell you say? Was he kidnapped or what?
We don't know. This is why I ask if anyone has seen him these days.
Well, I did see him, but I can't say when. He'd been stuck on those turtles, you know. They're said to be immortal. Did you know that?
What do you mean, immortal?
There's a legend here that Professor Zalai gave them some panacea. Fancy that. Ha!
I guess they only mean that turtles have a long life. Is it you who takes care of them?
Yep, I got to, you know. I don't really like them, though, but they recognize me.
Where the hell am I?
Curious structures. Development of electronic circuits between 1955 and 1970. The Little Museum of Nuclear Research. Dr. Peter Lehotsky, director. He and Vero seem to be on good terms. A collection of relics from the life of Professor Solari.
I see. Okay, so there's 3 left. Cyclotron. Let's go here.
Wow. I wouldn't be surprised to meet Captain Spock here. A bizarre structure. And that rabbit over there. Is that Darth Vader himself? I'm fascinated. An ageless guy. Or do his glasses make this impression?
Hi, I'm looking for Dr. Imre Biberosh.
Jonathan Hunt? Hi. Welcome aboard.
I'd like to ask a few questions. I guess you know what happened.
I know. And my processors don't comprehend. Bellage is not like that, but go ahead, ask away.
Have you seen Bellage lately?
No, not for some time. I'm glad he returned my DVDs before the Star Trek feature films. Not that I don't have more copies of them in a box set.
Did he watch them?
No. Actually, it was me who insisted on it. But wait a minute.
What's the matter?
Actually, I saw the guy on Friday through the window, chatting with a mysterious old man.
Mysterious?
Ah,
At least
so
I've
that's
never
from
seen
his
it before.
perspective.
He had a hat on, so I couldn't see his face.
An old man with a hat on Friday.
Bellage seems to know the fellow. Must have been over 70, and he talks somehow secretively. I didn't hear a word, though.
Thanks for telling me this. Do you know Bellage Gal well?
Not too well. At the beginning, early summer, he was rather clumsy. Then his girlfriend came along. They kept asking lots of questions, sometimes too many. She left a month ago.
Didn't he ask unusual questions?
He did. He'd been interested in the achievements of 18th, 19th century Hungarian physics.
Strange, asking you about this. I've thought you're a man of the space age.
Oh, maybe you don't know. I graduated as a historian, specialized in the modern era. But later I switched to nuclear physics, and now I control the cyclotron spaceship in the Atumki galaxy.
Extraordinary. So, what strange question did he ask?
Oh, I told him about great people like István Hatvany, who was a doctor, teacher, priest, and physicist. A polyhistor, as we call it. He was a resident here at the Debrecen. I suggested Bellage to look it up in the library of the Reformed College.
Most interesting. Thanks for the info.
he's provided the most useful information yet, really.
I guess you have some impression of Vero.
Well, yes. I was crazy about her.
Really? Does she know?
No, and please don't tell her or I set the Klingons on you. By the time I figured out how to approach her, my feelings were gone.
Gone?
But still, that girl is very special to me.
Can you tell me about this cyclotron?
With pleasure. No military secrets, of course.
Military secrets?
One never knows. But I like the look of you. You seem very trustworthy. The cyclotron is a particle accelerator instrument. This here is the control system. We accelerate the particles and they gain energy by this. The particles must be charged positive ions. They're created from hydrogen or helium in the cyclotron's ion source. We separate the electrons from the nucleus. What remains is in fact a proton, which can be used for acceleration. Do you follow?
I'm still a bit confused about the acceleration.
Okay. Imagine a round metal cookie can. Suppose you cut it in halves and pull them aside a bit, leaving a narrow gap between the two D-shaped parts. Think about it as a model. Now, when the proton passes through the gap, its speed increases. Inside the can, the path of the particle bends and continues in circles of increasing radius, eventually moving on a spiral path from the inside outwards. Then it is directed into the target object, and bang!
Can you see or hear it?
No, and of course you cannot enter while the engines are running.
And what's that Stargate over there? Is that a bunny to be teleported?
Are you kidding? That's a very smart detector. The positron emission tomography, the PET. Its nickname is PET, P-E-T. We use it to examine small pets after treating them with a bit of radioactive sugar.
I'm overwhelmed.
I'd love to show it to you in action. You should see the nuclear jet start.
Although you're a historian, this place is packed with high-tech equipment.
Well, somehow my devotion for history faded over time. Instead, I began to develop an interest for the present and the future. After a few years, I took a new course in natural sciences. In short, this is how I landed on board of this spaceship here as Dr. Biberosh.
Interesting. So we have two more areas. Radio chemistry.
Like in a submarine, I swear.
I think they've gone out of their way to make each and every room like visually unique, when it's really not necessary.
I don't even try to explain that sticker. What a dangerous place this must be. You can only look through a thick glass.
Look at them.
Yes, this guy must be Dr. Laszlo Kakashi.
Good morning.
Good morning. What can I do for you?
Are you Dr. Kakashi?
In the flesh. And who are you?
Name's Jonathan Hunt. Have you received Miss Gall's letter?
I have no time for reading letters, Mr. Hunt. I'm on the clock. And when it's work time, I only have time for work. But tell me, what was in that letter?
Miss Gall's younger brother disappeared this morning.
Disappeared? You mean vanished under a spell?
I rather think he's just run off. He left a farewell letter, but his sister is terribly worried. She asked me to find him.
Asked you? Why? Are you a detective?
No, but I promised to help her. So she wrote to her colleagues asking them to assist with the investigation and answer my questions.
Well then, if that's the case, work time is suspended. Interrogation time starts. But please keep it short.
When did you last see Bellage?
He was here last week. and came to my house yesterday to return a book I had lent him.
So you lent him a book? May I ask what book it was?
A book on astronomy. What else? I only get visitors who want to know about the work or about the world of galaxies.
So he was interested in the world of galaxies?
Meteorites, to be precise.
That's curious. I don't think his sister knew about this.
He's a genuine teenager, you see. You are one, too. Young men have their secrets to hide.
Did he tell you about any secret of his?
Not much. But when he heard astronomy was my hobby, he asked about meteorites. But I'm not a good talker, you see, so I gave him books on asteroids, comets, and so on.
I see. Do you have any idea why he was interested in all these?
No idea. I couldn't even tell you why I myself was interested in it.
So, what we've ascertained so far is that he was interested in meteorites and also languages. Okay.
Mr. Kakashi, what are your impressions about Vero?
Pretty little chick. The apple of the director's eye. Respectful girl and a good expert. Her father and mother have a scientific reputation, so I assume the children have good brains too. Bellage is also a bright kid.
You haven't taken advantage of Mr. Leotsky's permission to decorate your workplace.
No, I haven't. I only had this blue mood lighting installed. It's so celestial, if you know what I mean.
Can you tell me about the radiochemistry lab?
Well, I don't have much time, but if you want a short brief, we are chemists who work with radioactive material. You can see the sign on that door, warning about radiation hazard. Let's say a material is irradiated by the cyclotron, some oxygen, for example. The oxygen is transmuted to radioactive fluorine. Then the radiochemist attaches this fluorine to a sugar molecule. This is needed for the PET diagnostics, a nuclear medical imaging technology to detect this radioactive sugar in the body. But from this point, it's not my business. So to put it simply, we work with radioactive material here. This is why we need special protective measures. But if you have a test tube of non-radioactive material, of course we could investigate that too in our standard lab.
I see. At least I think I do. Thank you, Mr. Kakashi.
Okay, so we have one more place to explore, which is the Plasma Lab.
It's peculiar to see past and future side by side like this. A replica of an Italian-made map of 18th to 19th century Hungary.
That looks like, let's say, I'm gonna guess Socrates?
Socrates.
Yes!
I wonder if his spirit is present in this room.
It looks like his bust.
At the edge of two worlds. Early last century replicas, probably after Babylonian patterns. Neat haircut and beard, untidy desk and chaotic instruments. The same contrast as in the lab itself. Perhaps Ernu Brown is essentially living in the past after all.
I mean, to give it credit, it's unique. It has its own style, this particular game, which I like.
The antique world, on a not-so-antique globe. All that glitters is not gold.
Whoops.
Good morning.
Ah, good morning. You must be Jonathan Hunt.
And you are Mr. Brown, if I'm not mistaken.
Dr. Ernu Brown, at your service.
Mr. Brown, what can you tell me about Bellage Gall, Vero's brother? When did you last see him?
I've heard he's disappeared. How awful. I really don't understand. I spoke to the boy on Friday. He seemed quite as usual. He stormed into my lab and started to browse through my bookshelf. Sometimes he would very humbly ask to borrow some books, you know. I'm pleased to lend to anybody. They just have to enter it in my notebook.
What was he interested in?
Some of the books here are technical manuals, but what I collect mostly is literature on archaeology. A passion of mine, you know. And there's more, like popular science. I love it.
Do you remember what books Bellage has taken?
Oh, no need to remember. It's in the notebook.
I should also point out that I did accidentally skip the introduction, which may have given me a lot more background info on what was going on, because I didn't see that. I was criticizing the game, and really, that was my fault.
Mr. Brown, what do you think of Bellage?
Just call me Ernu, will you? And I'll call you Jonathan, if you don't mind.
Not at all, Ernu. So, could you describe the boy for me?
A wonderful child, very smart. Some people call him Brainiac Boy, and he's so cheerful, has a desire for knowledge. He'll achieve great things, like his parents.
Did you see him often?
Not really. Sometimes he came to the lab, not only for books. He asked me lots of questions about our work, but otherwise we rarely came across each other, just waved at each other in the courtyard.
Eric von Daniken? Der Tag an dem die Götter kamen. History of Magic. Oh, Gal Bellage. Okay, I think what this is saying is that Gal Bellage took out the book Peter and Wendy, Tales of Mother Goose, Milne, Winnie the Pooh, but the book wasn't returned. Okay.
What do you think of Vero?
Oh, she's a lovely but sharp-tongued young lady. Don't you think so, Jonathan? Quick-witted and talks as quickly. Occasionally she might say things that sound a bit offensive, but she doesn't mean it. Her intentions are noble. Do you know if she's married?
No, she isn't.
For the time being, I assume.
Wait a minute, he's supposed to be 60 odd? I don't think so.
You have an incredible collection of books.
Great, isn't it? I live in a tiny apartment where there's no room for my library. But Mr. Leotsky very kindly allowed me to keep them here. I'm so grateful to him.
This machine is really impressive. Looks like an electronic forest.
Do you want me to explain how it works? Listen. Have you heard of plasma, the fourth fundamental state of matter?
Oh, yes, I think so. Aren't the sun and the stars made of plasma?
Absolutely. Plasma is a state of material when it's no longer composed of atoms or molecules, but of the parts of the atoms, electrons and ions. We create plasma with this instrument here, working with strong magnets and microwaves.
In other words, this apparatus is some kind of microwave oven. Can you heat something with it?
Yes, and by heating, we can convert almost any material to plasma state. We usually work with noble gases and study the plasma with a wide range of instruments. The plasmas are really beautiful. Our equipment owns 6 magnets. Therefore, the plasmas we create look like gorgeous 6-branched stars.
Great. I think I already know more about your forest. Thanks, Ernu.
My pleasure. I hope I didn't bore you, Jonathan.
Ernu, I think something's wrong in this notebook.
How come? What is it, Jonathan?
It says that Bellage had taken books like Winnie the Pooh, Tales of Mother Goose, Peter and Wendy. These don't seem like archaeological works to me.
Oh, that little rascal. He played tricks on me. I don't always check that notebook, you know. But anyhow, I have no reason to be cross with him. He had always returned everything.
I just wonder what the boy wanted to conceal.
Come on. He's only a child. Just plays jokes, that's all.
Oh.
Hi, it's me, Vero.
Hi. I know. I've just finished with the labs. Nothing too helpful.
There's still a chance. I spoke to Peter, you know, the director. He's waiting.
For what?
For you. He wants to meet you.
Well, why not? Should I question him too?
Maybe you can get something useful out of him.
Shall we go right now?
You go alone. I've already told him a lot about you.
Aren't you going to introduce me? Anyway, let's do it this way. I guess I'll find his office.
It's in the main building, first floor on the right.
Thanks.
One more thing. Now I remember what Bellage said that afternoon. He said this: I'm going to meet that teacher woman I talked to yesterday. And then he said he was going to the Reformed College. What do you think?
Could be a lead.
Except we don't know who she is.
But we do. Listen, you said he talked with a middle-aged woman. That could be her.
You may be right. But still, I haven't got the slightest idea who she was.
That may be so, but someone was there at the party who might know. I'm just going to visit him. Bye for now.
Bye.
Okay, it's director's office, isn't it? Let's save the game. Okay, let's go to see Peter.
Here's the deck of the Otomki ship. I wonder what the captain's like. The all-seeing eye of Professor Shandor Soloy. Sometimes even the director, Mr. Peter Lehotsky, puts on a lab coat. Pictures from the history of Otomki. Beautiful weather. We are having a nice summer this year. A holographic trinket with particles. Lovely.
Good morning. Jonathan Hunt.
Ah, Mr. Hunt. Peter Liotsky. How do you do?
How do you do? It was beyond my hopes to be able to see a nuclear research institute on the inside. I'm delighted to be here.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. In this case, just call me Peter. I'm the older, if you don't mind.
I'm honored. Nice to meet you, Peter.
Take a seat, please.
Some of the dubbing's terrible. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Immaculate three-piece business suit, but no necktie. Interesting.
Is it true your mother tongue is Hungarian?
Basically, yes. My mother was Hungarian, and she spoke to me in her language. My father was American, but he died early, so I learned to speak English from my grandfather. He was the son of a famous globetrotter and explorer, Samuel Hunt.
What an exciting ancestry. A mixture of cultures. Vera told me you wished to settle down in the country, and this is why you wanted to see her.
Yes, I'm considering buying land in Eger.
I know. And I've been informed about the result of the water analysis. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but your sample is far from mineral water quality.
Thank you. No need to be sorry. I had no intention of going into the mineral water business. It's even better, as the owner should lower the price now.
I see. Glad to hear this.
You might have heard that Bellage disappeared.
Oh, yes. Vera, the poor little one, has just come to me crying. I was going to mobilize my contacts immediately. I have a fairly wide network of connections, you know. But she told me she'd already asked you to be on the case.
Oh, well, no problem. I'd be pleased to free Vera of her commitment. Probably connections could work better in this case than a do-it-yourself detective, such as an investigative journalist from the New York Times.
You work for the New York Times? Why, there's no reason to back out of the arrangement. Vera told me you're very efficient. Please go ahead. I hereby approve the assignment. You are free to go anywhere on Atomki's premises and ask questions to anyone. Just keep it short, please. You understand.
Not quite, but there should be no complaints. Thank you for the opportunity. And once you've allowed me, would you please answer a few questions yourself?
But of course. At your service.
You know Bellage, I assume. What do you think of him?
Well, I think the boy doesn't respect his sister the way he should. Yet she's done everything for him while their parents are absent. I believe he's hiding because of feeling guilty of ungratefulness. What do you think?
I think there's no question about your scientific and management achievements, but your approach lacks some empathy.
You think so?
Yes, but this is not a problem in your position. And of course, I didn't mean to be offensive.
No, I understand what you say. And coming back to this investigation of ours, I did see Bellage Sunday afternoon.
Oh my. And where was this?
It was about 5:20 when we passed by each other downtown. He was just coming from the college.
Did you speak?
I said hello, but he didn't seem to take notice. Looked quite preoccupied and just walked on.
In that case, I should extend the investigation to places outside Atomki as well. Peter, a colleague of yours saw Bellage on Friday in Atomki talking to an old man in the courtyard. It was near the pond where the turtles live. The man was wearing a hat and he had a walking stick. Do you have an idea who he might be?
I think so. The description fits old Karol Ivoniec, our retired caretaker. He was the jack of all trades at the time of Shandor Soloi. He comes here now and then, eats in the cafeteria, sits in the garden, chats with people.
So he might have told Bellage a few old stories?
He might have, yes. The old chap is absolutely harmless, but I can give you his address. Talk to him.
Yes, please. I'll call on him.
Here you are. It's not far from Atomki.
I'll find it. Thank you.
The address of the former caretaker, Karol Ivoniec.
Vero mentioned something that could be important.
How interesting. I wonder why she hasn't told me.
At that party on Saturday, Bellage was seen chatting with a middle-aged lady, likely to be a teacher. She stayed late too. Do you remember who she was?
I only saw that Vera had to warn him about his behavior several times. But I hardly remember who he talked to.
Let's try this way. Was there a woman at the party who happens to be a teacher?
Well, this might be easier. Mind you, it isn't a common thing nowadays to invite white-collar people of lower position. Ah, but I've got it. It must have been Mrs. Pulfy, the widow of the late Professor Geza Pulfy. Her husband was a highly respected scholar, of the old-fashioned type. Headed a university department, very reputable person, although never strived for positions.
Yes, there are people like this.
His widow is a teacher indeed. Out of respect for Geza, his former friends and colleagues keep in touch with her. They say she's not too well off, but too shy to ask for help.
Does she teach in the Reformed College?
No. As far as I know, she teaches history in a grammar school.
Then what was she doing at the college on Sunday, where she met Bellage?
Then what did the lady do in the college on Sunday where Bellage met her, if it was her at all?
I've seen a few of your labs, and I have to admit, I'm amazed. All of them are furnished with a personal touch. I've heard this was your innovation. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. It's a long story, you know. A foreign delegation visited us one day, and their wives came with them. After the official program, we had an informal dinner where some of our researchers were also present.
I guess you chose them carefully.
Naturally. They told good stories. Everyone had an excellent time. The wives were especially delighted because they thought about these guys as some machine parts in lab coats. And suddenly, I realized we'd been hiding something that ought to be shown. So the next day I told my staff that I'd allow everyone to do their work in a home-like environment, as long as the job is done. Strictly subject to individual approval, of course.
This was received well, I guess.
No, they thought me crazy. It took some time for them to understand, but now the results speak for themselves.
I say hats off. A brave and enlightened solution.
Okay, so I think I'm finished here.
Mr. Vince, do you know Karoi Vonyets?
The old fella? Of course I do. He did this job before me. Knew Professor Saleh, who founded the whole thing here. Yeah, that was one great man. Karoi surely adored him.
And what does he do now? What is he like?
Yeah, he's very old. Oh, really very old. But a nice fella. Yeah, sometimes he comes here, sits around and chats with people, you know. He likes to tell stories. But we usually don't let him, because he keeps repeating everything over and over again.
How did he get on with Bellage?
Had no idea they knew each other, but if you say so.
Okay guys, I'm just going to go for just a small break. I won't be too long. Thank you. Okay, so I'm back. So, let's go to this reformed college.
This board also indicates a church history exhibition, but it's closed. And anyway, this school history collection suits a teacher better.
I've got to say, Hungary looks very, very beautiful. Nice. I have noticed though that there's there's no puzzles so far whatsoever.
Old school books and objects.
Some people won't like that.
Gorgeous embroidered book covers. What a painstaking work.
I mean, from my own personal perspective, I do prefer story-driven adventure games. And puzzles are okay, but they're not necessary for the point-and-click games that I particularly like. I mean, I'm making my own video game, and it's primarily a narrative-driven experience. It does have puzzles, though.
Oops. Lucky this beast is behind the glass.
So, you know, I don't really mind this kind of experience where there's no puzzles whatsoever. But I know for a fact that some players do not like games that are purely narrative.
A brochure about meteorites.
Driven. A brochure? Okay.
I've never cared for minerals. Maybe it's time for a change.
Aristotle. Now, Aristotle was Socrates' student. So there's quite a bit of philosophy background in this game, which is quite good. Aristotle believed that falling stars were phenomena of the Earth's atmosphere. This is where the Greek word meteor originates from, meaning high in the air. It was only recognized at the end of the 18th century through the works of German physicist and acoustician Ernst Chalny that meteorites come from outer space. He is generally regarded as the founder of modern meteoritics. According to the current theory, these visitors were born in cosmic catastrophes from the material of smaller astronomical objects. The denomination depends on whether they enter the atmosphere at all or reach the Earth's surface. Meteoroids are tiny granules travelling in space. Meteors are meteoroids that pass through the atmosphere as a result of friction. They heat up and glow. Meteors enter the atmosphere at altitudes of 80 to 120 kilometers. At a speed of up to 70 kilometers a second. Meteorites are members that hit the Earth's surface. As most meteoroids disintegrate in the atmosphere, we can only examine meteorites. Meteor showers are observed when the Earth passes through a stream of cosmic debris left by a comet. The debris forms a dust trail travelling parallel with the comet. A bolide is an extremely bright meteor exploding when entering the atmosphere, sometimes with a sonic boom. Extraterrestrial matter based on cosmic radiation, radioactive dating can be employed to describe the entire life story of a meteorite. when it was created and ejected from its parent body, how long it travelled in outer space, and when it hit the Earth's surface. Classification. Based on composition, meteorites can be classified into three main groups. Iron meteorites. These meteorites consist of iron nickel. Actually, in the news recently, there was one a few days ago actually, which is apparently composed of nearly 100% iron and nickel, and is worth trillions and trillions of dollars. But anyway, these meteorites consist of iron-nickel alloy, which is not prone to oxidizing and entering the atmosphere. Iron meteorites were one of the earliest sources of usable iron available to humans. Stony meteorites being less resistant, a large part of stony meteorites disintegrate during the fall. Traditionally, they are classified as chondrites and achondrites. Chondrites contain small round particles not more than a centimeter in size. These are called chondrules. Chondrites may contain other components as well, such as the so-called white inclusions. The meteorite of Kovo, which fell in Hungary, is also a chondrite. And achondrites do not contain chondrules. And down here we have stone iron meteorites. These meteorites represent a transitional category, with iron nickel as their main component. There are two types of stony iron meteorites: pallasites and mesosidorates. And then we have tektites, natural glass objects formed by the impacts of large meteorites.
A slate, or an ancient model of the iPad.
Good morning, madam. May I ask you a few questions?
Of course, that's why I'm here.
Do you know a lady called Mrs. Piroshko-Palfi?
As a matter of fact, I do. It's me.
How lucky. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jonathan Hunt, and I'm involved in an investigation. I need your help.
An investigation? Well, what is it you wanted to see me about?
Bellage.
I'd like to ask you about a young man. Do you know Bellage Gall?
I do. He's a nice person. I hope he hasn't got himself into some mischief.
We'll find out. Bellage Gall vanished this morning.
Was he kidnapped?
Not really. He's run away. His sister is upset because he left a worrisome farewell letter.
Dear me.
Do you happen to know anything about him?
No, I have no idea. But why did he do such a thing?
We're in the dark at the moment, but certain things suggest that you met him in the past few days.
I last met him yesterday. We arranged a secret meeting after the museum closed.
A secret meeting?
Yes. Oh dear. It seems I must confess my own sin as well.
You can tell me. I'm not a policeman.
In that display case over there, you can see the most precious scientific treasure in the possession of the Reformed College, or even Debrecen. This is the Kovo meteorite. That is a replica of it. The original is kept under lock and key at the headquarters. And I promised Bellage to unlock it on Sunday. See, this is my sin.
As far as I know, you had a talk with Bellage at the birthday party of Egon Palos on Saturday.
We had. That was when he coaxed the promise out of me. And my feet trembled next morning. Actually, I met the boy even earlier. He asked me some questions just like you do.
Do you remember the questions?
Certainly. He asked about Professor István Hotvony, especially the professor's studies in mineralogy.
Madam, can you tell me something about the Kovo meteorite?
With pleasure. This meteorite fell on Earth some 150 years ago in the neighborhood of Debrecen, near the small town of Kovo. An aged stone, it's said to be 5,000 million years old, just like the solar system itself. What makes it special is that this was the first meteorite in which organic matter was found. Could be evidence of life in outer space. This black pebble was an invaluable treasure at the time. It attracted enormous scientific interest.
Thrilling. But this seems to be a closed case for science, if I may say so. I wonder why Bellage was so excited about it.
I don't know, but you can read about this meteorite in this booklet. I've shown it to Bellage as well. Take it. This was my husband's own copy.
That's kind of you, thanks. I'll have a look at it. Tell me, please, why was it so important for Bellage to see the original meteorite?
It's still quite fuzzy to me what the boy was really looking for. All I could get out of him was that he'd been working on a project, and if the project succeeded, he'd become rich, and in that case, he wouldn't forget about me.
You mean he offered you money for this little mischief?
Oh, no. I wouldn't let him even if he had. After all, it was my silly idea. He wanted it so much, and it came to me that during the weekend, I could easily take it out from the safe for half an hour without anyone knowing.
And how did he like it? Did he say anything?
He was excited. Studied it thoroughly. Tried to scrape the surface a bit, but eventually he looked disappointed. He said something like, "This is not the one," or "This is different." I thought this would never come to light.
The original's probably gone, I would imagine.
You mentioned Professor István Hatvany.
Yes, it's him in that painting. He was a celebrity in our city in the 18th century. He studied in this college, and later he became a teacher here. A renowned polyhister of the era, and a reformer of science. Here's a brochure if you want to know more about him. Bellage has read it too.
Thank you. I wonder what made Bellage interested in him.
Hatvany was a legend. Did you know he'd been referred to as the Hungarian Faust?
So he was a mystic figure with legends about him. Maybe the boy was only curious.
I think it was more than that. Bellage delved deeply into Hatvany's biography. A week after his first visit, he came again and asked me if I had any further source of information. He probably came to this conclusion reading a study by my husband, Geza Palfi. In this study, he mentioned a letter in his possession in Professor Hatvany's handwriting, believed to be original.
Why the uncertainty about the letter?
I'm not sure. It's not canonized, although the signature is unquestionable.
Has Bellage seen this letter?
Yes, it made him really excited. Only the young can be so thrilled about things, unless you hit the jackpot. As I didn't let him take a copy or a photo, he practically memorized the entire text.
Wow. And what is in the letter?
I don't remember exactly. Hatvany was trying to flee from someone. Gosh, I guess you want to look at it too.
Well, I'd be grateful. This old document is obviously an important clue to what the boy had been up to.
You might be right. My late husband would probably refuse it, but I won't. You'll forgive me. Come back a little later. I'll fetch that document for you as soon as I can.
Very good. Thank you so much. Another mischief of yours.
You think so?
Okay, so... She looks really uncomfortable there. Okay, so we've got two things to explore.
It's not a bad idea to learn more about this world-famous stone.
The 150th anniversary presented the opportunity to, on the one hand, show the reason for the widespread knowledge about the meteorite, and on the other hand, to summarize the events of the anniversary. Stones falling from the sky have been interested the imagination of man for a long time. Okay. In the middle of August, on a clear starry sky, the rising of the light stripe of a meteorite glowing in the atmosphere may be observed within minutes with little luck. The meteorite I can't pronounce that. Svalga Star Village 09/06/1866 exploded with an earthquake-like sound before landing. The rare phenomenon was recorded in drawings by witnesses. Meteors circulate around the sun similar to the Earth. Occasionally the two roots, missing an E, cross each other, thus the meteor may enter the atmosphere of the Earth. When this happens, the meteor glows due to friction, and its root of lying becomes visible. Certain fragments burn completely in the atmosphere, and therefore the light stripe breaks. The meteor that reaches the surface of the Earth is called meteorite. The velocity of the lighter micrometeorites decreases due to friction in the atmosphere that becomes denser and denser. They reach the surface without glowing. The photovoltaics panel of the satellites have to be cleaned from this cosmic dust sometimes. Forgive my pronunciation, it's terrible. The classification of meteorites is based on whether their material is iron, stone, or both. Iron meteorites might retain their intact original shape for centuries after falling, as they are composed usually of iron-nickel alloys that are not prone to oxidizing. See Figure 4. One part of the stone meteorites, Figure 3, breaks already in the course of falling, and it resists oxidizing and moisture hardly on the surface of the Earth. According to the presently widely accepted theory, meteorites form from the smaller stellar bodies of the solar system due to cosmic disasters. The inner parts of the body melt mainly due to the effect of radioactive decay. In the melt, heavy metals move towards the center of the core, and this is surrounded by a melt with a composition similar to the basalt. The third group of meteorites, Figure 5, forms a transition between the iron and stone meteorites. There are no sharp boundaries among the groups. Stone meteorites can be classified into two further groups, chondrites and achondrites. Chondrites contain spheres, chondrums with a maximum diameter of 1 centimeter in a loose dark matrix. Due to heating, the spheres are missing from achondrites. They were solidified from melts and have a united structure. According to certain assumptions, chondrites preserve the more ancient state of the material of the solar system. Occasionally they bear coal in a small amount. The meteorite of Kovo belongs to the coal-containing chondrite group 3. Its other characteristics are the so-called white inclusions, Figure 6, in which spinel was observed the first time among meteorites. There were many witnesses of the meteorite fall in the vicinity of Kovo in the evening of April 15th, 1857. One of the records of this is Tobruk, who asked witnesses as the doctor and the natural history teacher of the Reformed College of Debrecen. He reported the fall in Hungarian Academy of Sciences on the 7th of June 1858. He recalled the memory of one of the witnesses who had found the meteorite one day after the fall. Gabor was raised from his catnapping under the clear open sky in windless weather by a strange noise and an illuminating fiery body travelling with a great velocity and glaring light through the sky. The phenomenon could have been observed from Kursak and from Debrecen, as well as on a clear night. According to the story, the following day, Gabor rode to his farm. His horse wanted not to go beyond one point of the dust road when he saw the black rock intruded into the arable land. It's getting a bit confusing now. It was dug out only in the evening with the help of neighbours. People of Kovo broke a few small pieces of the rock from fancy. People of Kovo broke a few smaller pieces of the rock from fancy, but the main body was presented to the Reformed College by the leaders of Kovo. I have seen the house with the veranda of Gabor nowadays. The dust road on which she was riding the day after the fall is still used in the same way. Tobruk, at the presentation held in the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, shown the meteorite itself and its drawings from 3 different aspects, based on photos figure 7. The other record on the meteorite fall is the brief news in a contemporary weekly paper. According to this, there was strong wind in Kovo. Workers going home recognized the rock in fire falling from the sky while making nooking, thundering noise. The paper makes no note on the conditions of the findings, but it records the well-developed front of the meteorite and the tiny spherical gravel identified in it. It cannot be decided today whether there was wind or not the day of the falling of the meteorite, but it seems sure that there was no rain and the upper layer of soil was dry, and this helps the preservation of the meteorite. Due to its chondritic character, the structure of the meteorite could have been easily disintegrated if it swelled from moisture. The first depiction was also made by Tobruk. However, he made no chemical analysis. The shape, description and structure record is very accurate. Samples were not cut from the meteorite for scientific research at the time. However, the breaking of a few small samples from the finders enabled a glance on the upper parts under the melt crust. Tobruk had already recognized the conundrums at the time and referred to them as black-colored balls, some out of which have spherical structures, and they can be easily highlighted from the matrix. The appearance of the standard spheres was of unique fame, not only according to Tobruk, it is even today. But the recommendation of Horns, the director of the Mineralogical Cabinet in Vienna, Friedrich Wöhler, the chemist in Göttingen, with European fame, received the asking and the sample to carry out the chemical analysis of the meteorite of Kovo. At that time, Wöhler had already received reputation by his meteorite analysis. His name is preserved by a rare zirconium containing silicate mineral, the Wöhlerite. Wöhler is associated with the disapproval of the vis vitalis life force theory. According to the theory, organic compound can only be formed in living organizations. Okay, guys, this is not making sense at all. I can go on and on. Blood. Oh my goodness, it goes on and on for ages. I'll stop there. Okay, what else do we have?
The Hungarian Faust. Huh. Professor Hadvani must have been an exciting character.
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's really interesting to read. I mean, that extra information is very, very useful when it comes to enveloping the player, when it comes to them being a part of the story, and it's always nice to have. But yeah, but anyway, Istvan Hadvani. Hadvani is regarded one of the last polyhistors in Hungary. He was born in the gentry family as son of a bookbinder. After his school years in Kecskemét, Hadvani became a student at the College of Debrecen. In 1741, his outstanding capabilities won him supporters for studies at the University of Basel. From 1746, where he was awarded a doctorate of theology. Subsequently, he studied medicine, mathematics and physics at the Basel University and obtained graduation as a Doctor of Medicine in 1748. In the meantime, Hadvani was offered a position at the College of Debrecen as lecturer in geometry and philosophy, at that time meaning mathematics, philosophy and experimental physics. He was trained for the task by most the most prominent scientists in Utrecht and London. Turning down the invitation of the Heidelberg and Leiden universities, Hatvani remained loyal to Debrecen and took over the offered department in 1749. He was a teacher there until the age of 68. Finally, he resigned in 1786 and died later in the same year on 16th of November. The lecturer. Hatvani was a professor at the College of Debrecen from 1749 to 1786. He gave lectures in philosophy, theology, cosmology, general and experimental physics, as well as botany, geography, hydrostatics, mechanics and astrophysics. In 1749, he was the first in Hungary to carry out experiments with electricity. Hatvani had an important role in the development of national education and in protecting the independent status of the college. The Doctor of Medicine. Hatvani took the first steps in the country in medical meteorology by investigating the effects of medicinal waters and the composition of the atmosphere. He founded a sickness benefit institute and established healthcare facilities for the students of the college. His parents arrived in large numbers. His patients arrived in large numbers from Debrecen and beyond. The astrophysical. Hatvani had a great interest in astrophysics. In 1757, he determined the geographical location of Debrecen based on the astrophysical rules. In 1769, he calculated the orbit of a comet. His observations were published in prominent scientific journals abroad. The Hungarian Faust. Hatvani was referred to as the Hungarian Faust not only on account of his exceptional knowledge, but also because his students spread the rumour that he was a magician. So does this guy actually exist? Istvan Hatvani. He probably does. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, very interesting. Okay, so
So this is it. Just a replica, because the original is locked up in the head office.
okay, there's one more place I can go to. Oh no, there's two.
Visiting a Hungarian city is always an endless travel in time. I love it.
That's beautiful.
Aged wood flooring and staircase. So many prominent historical personalities have walked on them. This should be the Great Library. Curious, there are many things called great in Debrecen. Great church, great station, great library.
Debrecen.
A magnificent library.
Wow.
The intoxicating fragrance of old books. An interesting triumvirate. This part of the library seems to function as a museum too. Perhaps he's the man to ask.
I didn't realise Hungary had such a rich history. I don't know much about Hungary, gotta say.
Good morning. I'm investigating about a boy who's disappeared. My name is Jonathan Hunt.
Oh, you must be Humorjak's ring, Gardeny's cipher. I've heard about you. Welcome to our college, Mr. Hunt. I'm Vilmos Niergies.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Niergesh.
So you're in action again. Well, that's thrilling. And how can I help the investigation?
Did you happen to meet a young man called Bellage in the past days? A slim guy with brown hair.
Well, you see, it's quite possible that I've met him, but there are at least 100 slim boys at the college with brown hair. Do you know what he was looking for?
No, I'm afraid I don't. I'm not even sure if he'd been here at all. Anyway, I'll come back when I know more.
Oh, you're welcome anytime, Mr. Hunt.
We might have a choice, Mr. Niergesh. The boy may have come to the library for books on Istvan Hatvani or the Kovo Meteorite.
I don't remember. Or he asked a colleague of mine. But if he was just inquiring, it wouldn't be on the records anyway.
I see. So we're not getting anywhere.
You know what? Visit the museum on the ground floor. Piroska might know. Actually, her husband Geza Palfi wrote a monograph about Hatvani. And the Kovo Meteorite is also on display there.
I will. Thanks for the information.
The archives is almost empty. Of course, it's summer break.
I'm just going to save it.
This poor guy could do with a bucket of coffee.
Good morning. My name is Jonathan Hunt. I'm investigating the disappearance of a boy.
Morning. I'm Ottila Morani.
Really?
Which century did the student disappear?
What? Oh, no. This is a recent case. It happened today.
Then I'm afraid I can't help. We don't get written documentation so quickly. Maybe the police?
You misunderstand me. I'd like you to answer a few questions.
Of course. Go ahead.
I'm looking for a boy named Bellage. He's 19. Has he turned up here recently?
The name doesn't ring a bell, but I can check. Nope. That user does not exist.
I see. Thanks.
Our friend might have wanted to give these flowers to someone, but he never did. Only the memories and the red ribbon remained. I seem to have spoiled his coffee break.
So he said go down to the ground level. Just need to go. I'm not sure how to access the ground level. Is there nothing else here? Doesn't seem like it. Oh, that's really good. So it details every response, every conversation that you've had. That's very useful. Useful insofar as allowing the player to catch up with what they might have missed. But anyway, I'm gonna try the museum again.
Madam, am I too early?
Yes, you are. I haven't had a chance to get out, but I'll do my best.
Okay, I'll be back soon.
Okay, it shouldn't be here. So, college archives. There's nothing there. A Tom key. Let's go to this. Go to that.
Ah, on the top floor. Where else? Yes, this is where Karol Ivoniec lives. Oh, I must have come at the worst moment, or rather at the last. Trenchcoat, hat, and walking stick. Yes, he must be the old man Imre
yes,
Liveros
the
saw
old
with
man.
Bellage in the garden.
What's going on here?
Who are you? Is this your doing?
What? Excuse me, I'm so shocked I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Jonathan Hunt, and I'm looking for Mr. Karol Ivoniec. I guess it's him.
Yes, it's him. What else do you want from him?
What else? I can assure you I've never been here, never even seen him before. How could I help?
Well, you can get Karol a glass of water and find the phone number of Betty, his granddaughter.
Yes, madam. Here it is, the water.
Thank you, young man. There, Karol. Now come, drink some water.
Check the water for the turtles. Oranka, please call the professor.
Oh my God, poor Karol.
What?
Is this Betty's phone number?
What the hell? Serious? Who has a business card up there? Oh, come on. Business cards dotted all around the room. I don't know which is...
Thank you, young man. Oh, I must tell Betty to come here.
Have you called an ambulance?
No, not yet. I've just arrived. I don't even have my phone with me.
I can call them.
Better not get mixed up in this. This is a crime.
I don't know anything. Professor, he knows our wall. Those trace elements. The devil is in the detail. The devil. The devil's stone.
So is that the second time he's died?
Please, tell me what happened.
I came over to bring Cardoy a little soup, and I wanted to ask who it was I saw coming here. And there he was, lying on the floor. He was confused, and said the man had hit him and knocked him down. Wanted to get something. I keep asking, but he seems to be losing consciousness. Oh my God, what a cruel thing to do!
God.
Aunt Oronka, are you Mr. Vonyet's wife?
No, I'm his neighbor. My husband passed away years ago, so we sometimes watch TV together, and I cook for him now and then.
Tell me about him.
Oh, he's a good man. He's lived a quiet, honest life. A humble one.
Who are the people he's in touch with? Does he have any acquaintances?
Very few. He used to work in the Nuclear Research Institute. Never went out drinking or gambling. Never. We've been neighbors for 40 years, but hardly had a word until my husband passed.
You say someone has just been here?
I heard the man coming. He rang the doorbell.
Why, it could have been the postman.
No, the postman knows that Cardoy hates the doorbell. Only strangers ring. I heard Cardoy asking, "What do you want?" Then they went in. I couldn't see anything else.
The guy entered by force, I guess.
Oh, could be. A few minutes later, I heard the door bang and someone running down the stairs. So I came over with the soup right away. The door wasn't even closed, and saw him lying here.
He was hit badly. Can you tell me anything else about the attacker? Wasn't it a young man, a boy perhaps?
It could have been anybody. Only he knows, the poor thing.
I'm not going to tell you. Just the turtles. I say, the turtles are immortal, Professor. The turtles there are. 'Cause in the stone, the details. The details.
Do you happen to know a boy called Bellage? He's about 18 to 20.
Never heard of him.
Do you think Mr. Vonyets knew him?
No, I assume he didn't. I don't remember any young man of this age coming here.
I thought so. In fact, I wanted to talk to Mr. Vonyets about this young guy.
There's the secret of eternal life. The turtles, they are immortal.
Oh, why don't you just die already? Sorry.
Is that you, Professor? Never tell that scoundrel anything. Anything. It's there, all right. We left no traces. No trace elements.
He's died for the 4th time, guys. For the 4th time.
Poor.
Who's the professor he's talking about?
Shandor Salai, of course. He was the director of Atomki for a long time, and Karoy was the caretaker. He respected Professor Salai. May he rest in peace. They were on good terms.
Can you understand what he said about turtles and the Devil's Stone?
I'm sorry, no. I've never heard these things from him before. Oh, my God.
Okay, what's this?
Here's the soup. His sweater. The old man must have been lying here. Vincent. Of course.
You'd better call the police as well.
Well, all right. Get me Karoy's phone, will you? It should be here somewhere. But it may be switched off. The code is 1931. Yes, 1931, of course.
I'll get it for you right away.
But I just offered you... I offered you my phone.
Mr. Vonyet's phone. It's switched off.
Thank you, young man. Please go now. Don't get mixed up in this.
Don't worry. I'm happy to help.
I can manage. You can go now.
All right. I hope Mr. Vonyets gets better soon. See you later.
I think she's right. I should be going. Let's hope Mr. Vonyets will be all right.
Oh, did you see that? As soon as I left, all the business cards appeared again. Wow.
That's not the one. It says Mrs. Shupak.
Museum? I don't know where to go now.
Madam, I'm back.
I've got the letter. Do you want to read it?
Certainly. Thank you.
Here it is. Just take your time, but please give it back before you leave. And handle it with care. It can be really valuable if it's original.
I will.
As an expert, I should say this letter is authentic, all right. Maybe Professor Palfi didn't hurry to prove it so that he could keep this valuable document. One day it may help Piroshko overcome hard times. But let's see what Istvan Hatvani writes.
My dear brother, I am pleased to hear from you and that our Aunt Anna enjoys good health. May God keep her for many more years. Dear brother, I can give you a different answer today than what I would have given had I been writing this letter a few days earlier. There are no words for this desperation which befell me. The peril culminated the day before yesterday, but now it is over at length, with the help of God, for which I thank him. This is the story of my vexatio. I have no idea how to pronounce those words, sorry. But for God's sake, do not tell anyone, lest this knowledge bring trouble to you. It started long ago, when I was in Utrecht, in the Netherlands, as a peregrinus. It was there, at a mineral market, where I bought an odd black stone. The merchant told me this was a meteorite which fell from somewhere on Hungarian land in the month of August in the year of 1707. It made me remember my homeland, and I could not resist. I bargained for it, and I got a fair price. But I know not if it will bring me fortune, or I have the devil's stone on me. This mineral is a curiosum, and I examined it in vain. I could not determine the mysterium it conceals. I will say no more, so as not to bring trouble or disaster upon us again. There is no telling how anyone could know about my acquisition, but a few weeks ago I discovered with consternation that someone wants to take possession of it by every means possible. They broke into my studio in the Collegium the other day. They forced open my laboratory door and followed me onto the street. Then last week I received a letter which a person I had never heard of vindicated the Black Stone to himself, and finally yesterday the scoundrels attacked me. I could only escape in heavy rain with the help of God, for which I thank him. I ran as fast as I could, and when I saw they were no longer behind me, I thought of my old schoolmate, who is pastor of the service of God. I went to his house and persuaded him to hide the stone and keep it safe. A brave and God-fearing man, he promised to keep it until I return. This there for it? The there? Spelling mistake. I cannot do justice to his kindness. One scoundrel named Sodaki was captured that very night. The other one fled. His name is Sidori. I am certain that somebody paid these rascals to do this vileness. Only we are ignorant of who it was, but now the stone and myself are safe, although the incident did bad to my health. My dear brother, I am hoping to be able to wait on you soon, and greet your family and our Aunt Anna. May God bless you all. Okay.
Thank you for letting me have a look at this letter, madam.
You're welcome. You don't seem as excited as Bellage was.
No. Although this document is most interesting and seems very important. Professor Hotfunny says here that he'd left the stone in the custody of one of his schoolmates who served in the, small church.
This is a small church.
Do you know if this small church still exists?
Certainly, it's still there downtown, with a unique bastion-like tower. You cannot miss it. But you're not thinking seriously of going there and asking for Hotfunny's stone, are you?
Why not? If the church is so old, maybe there's a trace of everything.
Well, I admire your enthusiasm, Mr. Hunt.
Okay, so we have a new lead. The small Reformed church. Just gonna save it, guys. I might actually just end it there for today. So I'm not sure when I'll carry on with this. Probably around a week's time, maybe. No, I'll try tomorrow. I'll try to stream some of it tomorrow. So it seems I've got one viewer, so thank you very much for taking the time to watch my stream. And I will be back tomorrow, so thanks very much. Until later, goodbye.